Hey everyone, this is Cameron Schrader. I'm here to bring you another melodic progressive house tutorial. So the next few melodic prog videos let's use some proper English here, are going to show me producing basically a full track. I already did a tutorial on chordplex and showed my kind of process for writing them. So for that, I've already gone ahead and made some chordplex for this track, and I've written the chords, and here's what they sound like. So yeah, that's what they sound like. This part we're going to be doing drums. I know what kick I'm going to use because it's my favorite kick. Drums are one of the easier parts of making melodic prog, because you can be really lazy with making drums. There's no need to go over the top. There's different styles. If you want to do Dinka style, in which case you're definitely going to be using this pack because this was made by the guy that made all the Dinka tracks. Control samples, Helvetic Nerds, progressive anthems. This pack is a must-have for any melodic prog producer. I have no idea where you can get this these days. I originally bought it off of Beatport, but that's been, I think that was in 2014 or 2015 that I bought that off Beatport. The kicks in this pack are really good. These two right here are my favorite, 13 and 14. And that's what we're going to use. So this tutorial is going to include a sidechaining tutorial. So the first things first, we're going to do our kick and sidechain at the same time because you use the kick for both. So what you need is two copies of the same sample, the same kick sample, and you're going to name one of them sidechain and you're going to name one of them regular just kick. We're going to make a pattern called sidechain kick. We're going to fill it out with our typical drum pattern. We're going to link it here. Whoops. Damn it, I'm just clicking the wrong things. We're going to make sure the kick is on mono. That is not mono. Always mono your kicks. Your track will sound a little fucked up after mastering if you don't master your kick. So please mono your kicks. It can literally, you're not having a monoed kick can ruin a good track real easily. So always mono your kicks, please. Kicks are the only thing that you absolutely have to mono, but so yeah, we've got sidechain kick. We'll go ahead and throw this in here. So sidechaining, we're going to open the sample and then we're going to go to envelope and instrument settings, which is this tab right here. And for the sidechain, we just want to make the chords duck out of the way when the kick hits. And how much of the actual kick sample you're going to use to do that kind of depends on what style you're making. But the sidechaining is pretty much the same either way. You're going to bring all of these knobs aside from hold all the way down, all of these main knobs. So what that does basically is that it only, if you don't hold the note down, see, I'm barely tapping my Q key. It barely plays. If we lower the hold, it's going to only get the snap of the kick. So the full kick isn't playing. And the reason we're doing this is because we only want the very snap of the kick to make the chords and bass and pads and everything duck out of the way. We only want the snap the kick to do that. Which is the initial bass hit. Now, if you want some ridiculously heavy sidechain, then you can have it all the way up, but I don't. For this track, I'm not going to do that. And also, so for the side, after we're done with editing the sidechain kick, we're going to go ahead and mute it, which it's just none of it's playing by doing that. And then to do the actual sidechain, we are going to select the sidechain kick channel, and then we're going to go and right click this guy on the chords bus, and we're going to click sidechain to this track. Then we'll click on the chords bus, and we're going to click on the very last slot, and then we're going to put in a free limiter. And then we're going to go to compression, and we're going to move the sidechain up to the first channel. And then from here, there's a few little variables. So the ratio is generally going to be all the way up. You can mess with that, have it halfway sometimes, but and between halfway and all the way up. But usually it's going to be all the way up. And then, so from now, it's not actually being sidechained right now yet, but it is showing up in the limiter, which is great. What makes the sidechain happen is when we start lowering the threshold. That's pretty good sidechaining. So your threshold is what really matters in sidechaining. For bass, you're gonna want to more heavily sidechain it, so your threshold is gonna be like way higher. So like negative. I'm looking up here in the corner. A bass would be anywhere from -20 to -26 decibels. So it's a bit heavier, and that makes the bass groove a lot better. The chords I don't generally do as heavy sidechaining on. And then the melodics, such as the arps and stuff, I will only do very slight sidechaining to. So like, if we're doing an arp, which I guess I can just throw one together real quick. That's not an arp. There, we just made an arp. Okay. So if we've got an arp going here, we do want sidechaining on that, but we don't want super heavy sidechaining. So that's really light sidechaining. But you may not even notice too big of a difference whenever you've got your little arp or pluck melody soloed, so only that's playing. But it is it's very noticeable whenever you are mixing your full track. Whenever you're throwing everything together, it's going to be really obvious if you've done horrible sidechaining and you can't hear your kick because there's too much shit playing at the same time. So copy this and then make a kick pattern. Paste. I'm gonna make these cut themselves, which sounds really fucked up, but you know, that's just how FL Studio words it. And if your sidechaining is good, you'll be able to hear your kick perfectly fine. So yeah, I'm gonna get rid of that, and let's move on to the clap. Oops, I totally misspelled that. Culp. A few different ways to make claps. A couple of them are lazy, and you guys probably know that I'm a big fan of being lazy. The reason that it's okay to be lazy, by the way, is because the person that's listening doesn't give a shit about your sound design as long as it's good. So if you throw on some obnoxious big room snare onto a melodic prog track, then that's going to sound horrible. But if you can mix together a few pre-made claps, that's fine as long as it sounds good. There's lots of sample packs that have pre-shifted claps. That's a little obnoxious. That you can kind of throw together. Kind of like that, and I guess we'll keep that because that sounds kind of good. But another way that you can do it, if you want to make them from scratch, is you take just a bunch of clap samples and generally a snare and a come on, give me a good snare. And we'll take some clap samples, and you're going to put them on the beat, and then you're going to hold Alt and click, and then you're going to drag them forward a bit. And that's where you start to get that classic house style clap. And sometimes you'll get away with just doing 2 samples. I have this one muted right now, just for tutorial sake. And you'll just kind of vary it up a little bit. Now, that sounds pretty good. It might not sound good right away, but once we EQ it, it's going to sound great. I'm going to go ahead and remove the kick, and then I'm going to make this last a little longer. The reason that I do this, the reason that I make the same pattern repeat for 4 bars is so that I don't have to draw as many patterns in the playlist. So if you're fine with having single bar patterns, that's totally fine. I just do this for simplicity's sake, or not for simplicity's sake, but for it speeds up my workflow, because now I only have to draw 4 clap patterns in instead of 16. So okay, so we're gonna click and drag on that, and we didn't leave the kick. Have the kick selected, route to this track, mono that, rename it kick bus. Okay, now we can do the clap. Click and drag that, click on this channel, click route selected channels to this track, and then we're gonna compress it. And you can just eyeball the compression. It's not too crazy. I like to have a little bit of attack on my clap compression. And then we can do some EQing, and you can EQ this with parametric EQ too. So let's see. Sounds pretty good. Okay, so we just glued those samples together using compression and equalization, which is pretty good. So now we're going to do a hat. It's pretty simple. It's pretty good. And I like to layer my hat samples just because. Rename them hat. No, not graph editor. I fucking hate that graph editor. Like, yes, lots of people make use of it, so it obviously has use. Sometimes my ProQ2 bugs out and you guys don't see what I'm changing. So let's see, let me check OBS. Okay, OBS is not tracking what I'm doing. So if you look right around, I'm boosting, if we listen to the hat, you want to boost 10k hertz basically on most, which is the high end of most hats. Then you want to drag in a low shelf around the high mids to lower everything else, which is going to be right around here. And then we're going to low cut everything else that's lower than that. So we only want a little bit of mids in the hat. If I close this and open it, will you guys see what I did? Oh, you will! How great! Okay. So that's what I did. That's kind of what you want your hats to look like when you EQ them. We'll throw that in there. And then for the tutorial sake, I'll show how to make a shaker type sample. It's a good sample, okay. We're gonna draw 4 boxes and then we're going to just randomly change the velocity of these notes. Probably be a bit lower. And then we're gonna hold Alt Q and use a swing template, and what we get is this. Go ahead and copy that over. Shaker, and I'm going to use the exact same EQ on this as I used on the hat, so why not? And I want it to be quiet because a loud shaker is kind of annoying. Here's what it sounds like with the chords. Now that I'm hearing that, I think I want to change the sample. Okay, so a couple routes to go from here. We're going to take the lazy one. So if you're wanting to be really simple with your drums, you can kind of, you're pretty much almost done here. If you're going to be really simplistic with your drums, you just need to add some percussion, which I'll just demonstrate real quick. Ultimate percussion. Where is it? Okay. Something like this. Stuff like that, but I'm not going to use that for this tutorial. We're going to use loops because that's what I like to do. And I typically get all of my loops from Christian Hertz pack. He did all the Dinka tracks. Ad Brown Progressive House Essentials Volume 1 and 2 have good loops. I don't have Volume 2 on this hard drive because my hard drive is almost completely out of space because I have too many video games on this computer. Kobana Progressive House Essentials has some good loops. And then I've heard good things about Dave Parkinson's House Essentials. Talamanca told me that that's a good pack, but I can't afford it right now. And even if I could afford it, I have nowhere on my computer to put it. So I imagine I'll be buying that pack once I get a new computer. So anyways, we're going to use Helvetic Nerds Progressive Anthems. And whoops, that's not what I wanted to open. Let's do an add-on loop. And these loops are going to be quiet. They're not going to be very prominent. If you're familiar with myself and Talamanca's music, you'll probably recognize a lot of these samples. Oh yeah, so something that this sample here reminded me of is so if you take a what's that called? If you take a sample of like a crowd, like at a marketplace or something, I don't know, where just like a crowd, or maybe like a restaurant or something, cut 2 bars of it. So 2 bars would be this length. Cut 2 bars of the crowd and then throw lower the volume a lot, and then throw Nicky Romero's Kickstart on it to sidechain it, and that adds a lot of atmosphere to your percussion. It's kind of hard to pull off without making your mix sound really muddy, but it sounds really fucking good whenever you pull it off. I don't like the sound of that one. I do like the sound of that one. We're going to process these loops here in a second. going to link these over here. I'm going to select all of them and drag their volumes down to like 30%. Let's see what that sounds like. We're going to solo these, and we're going to cut the lows off of them. And then for our intro, we're going to copy that over. We're not going to play the full chords. Just doing some preemptive planning. Do some modifications to these. That sounds pretty good to me, so that's kind of how I get started with the drums. I'm going to wrap this up because this has gone almost 30 minutes. I have no idea what part of the tutorial I'll do next. Probably melodics. Yeah, so this has been Cameron Schrader. A link to my Discord is in the description. You can come to the Discord to get feedback on your tracks, learn how to produce, and interact with other producers, and as well as just listen to some cool music. The link to that will be in the description. Thanks so much, guys. See ya.